In this lesson, we're going to develop your knowledge of iteration. We already did some iteration last week, which is repeating, and we're going to develop that a little bit further in this lesson. But before we get on with iteration, we've got our knowledge recall questions to answer. And in your e-portfolio, you need to answer these 4 questions. So what is a for loop? An example of? I'll give a quick answer to that one. What is a module in Python? What is a costume in Scratch? And thinking back to spreadsheets in Excel or Google Sheets, what formula would you use in a spreadsheet to multiply A2 by B4? So pause the video and answer those questions. Hopefully you've got answers along the lines of a count-controlled loop. Code written by somebody else. This is code spelt incorrectly. So code written by somebody else. The looks of the sprite is what a costume is. And in spreadsheets, it's A2 asterisk B4. The asterisk means multiply. So A2 multiplied by the cell B4. So we're going to develop our understanding of iteration and count control loops and what a variable is. So we'll build up on our Python knowledge as we progress through this. In your e-portfolio, you need an example and a definition of what a variable is and what a conditional controlled loops are used for. And we'll move on to our e-portfolio shortly. But we're going to have a little challenge now where we're going to try and draw a face with a radius 100, so a circle with a radius 100, with 2 eyes and a mouth. So this is your challenge, and you can have a go on this. Pause the video, and then I'm going to explain how I solve this problem in my way. There is no right or wrong way. The face can be however you want it to look, as long as it's 100 radius wide with 2 eyes and a mouth. And there's some bits here about using pen width for the mouth and to use pen up and pen down to move the turtle without drawing any lines. So you can pause the video, have a go yourself, and then I'm going to show you how I solve this. So looking at my one, here is my Python. I've got an import turtle. I've got WN, so Windows equals turtle.screen. Remember the open brackets and close brackets. And I've called my turtle, my drawing Bob. So Bob equals turtle.turtle, open brackets, close brackets. That's our normal start for drawing in Python Turtle. Now, just ignore this for eye in range bit at the moment. Let's look at the information just here. I've got bob.down, so it's putting the pen down. I've got bob.color, and I've gone for pink. Bob.begin underscore fill, open brackets, close brackets. Remember, a variable shouldn't really have a space in it, so that's why we use the underscore. So we're beginning the fill. Bob.circle 50, bob.end fill, bob.left 90, bob.up. So this is drawing the first circle, and then the pen lifts up. And then I'm moving forward, changing the direction of Bob, going forward again, changing the direction, going forward, and then I'm putting the pen down again. This time I'm colouring in, begin fill, with blue, and I'm drawing a small circle, 5. So when I run this, let's have a look what we get. Run module. It will ask you to save it. You can save that in your documents. And when that runs, it is, there's my circle, my second eye, and a face. Now you'll notice that mine is carrying on and drawing in total 5 faces. And this is the next challenge that we're going to be moving on to in a minute. So there's my 4th face. So it's iterating through, repeating, going over again the same instructions and completing that. So these were my 5 faces. Your faces might look very different to mine. You might have done different size eyes. You might even put a nose in, and the instructions were to increase the width of the mouth. I didn't do that on mine, but that's the sort of thing that you could add in to yours. So I'm just going to move on and look at the next slide, and I'll bring my Python code back in just one moment. So this is where we're going to draw the outline. Oh, this start point here, draw 3 faces using a count controlled loop. So what I've got here is for I in range. This is my count control. We've done this before, and I'm going to just change this to 3. So I'm going to repeat it 3 times for I in range 3. So we've got the start that we had before. Here's my pen up, forward and pen down, as mine starts here. This bit. And then 3 times. So I'm going to repeat it 3 times. This is my code for drawing the face. If I scroll down, you can see this information. Let's go up a little bit. So that is for 1 complete face. And then it repeats it again. So it repeats it 3 times. So that's what you need to do. You need to try and add the for I in range, which is the bit I've got at the top, for I in range, bracket 3, colon. So it's then repeating it 3 times. Now what is really important, when you press return after the colon, it automatically indents your text to the next line. You need to keep all of this information that's going to be repeated in this iteration all level with this, all iterated in there. So you can see as I scroll down, everything's level. If I take one of the indents out and I run it, I will get an error message. It will not work the way I want to. So you need to make sure that is all level and straight just there. So there's quite a bit there. You can draw your face. Please try and draw a face that's different to the example I gave. So you're trying to create your own face. And then we're going to move on to another challenge. And what this is doing is using a conditional controlled loop. So it's exactly the same. We're drawing the face. So turtle.screen, Bob is turtle.turtle, faces drawn equals 0. So we've got a variable here called faces drawn, and we start it off at 0. So we initialize this variable at 0. And we've got while faces drawn is less than 3, colon. So this is at the start. We're saying while there are less than 3 faces drawn, then do the code. Draw 1 face. After you've drawn a face, we've then got this line of code, which is faces drawn equals faces drawn plus 1. So what that's doing is increasing the number that's stored in the variable faces drawn. So it starts off at 0. After 1 face is drawn is 0 plus 1, so therefore faces drawn equals 1. Then it does it again because it's still less than 3. So at the moment it's 1. It draws the face, and now 1 equals 1 plus 1, therefore faces drawn equals 2. And then it repeats it again because 2 is less than 3. So then it will repeat and draw another face, and faces drawn equals faces drawn, which was 2, plus 1, which is 3. And 3 is not less than 3. Therefore, it will stop using this conditional controlled loop, count controlled loop. So that's what you're looking to produce. And my example is here. So I've used my same bit of code. I've just copied and pasted how I drew the face. And I've here initialized my variable with faces drawn. Faces drawn equals 0. While faces drawn is less than 3, run this code, run module, and we should find that my first face gets drawn. My faces drawn equals then 1. Now draws the second one. So faces drawn is 1 plus 1 is 2. Then it draws the third one. So now it's 3, and it should stop at this point, and it has stopped. So that's what you're looking to produce and put into your ePortfolio. You're looking to explain what the variable is doing and the count controlled variable here. Faces drawn less than 3. So the count controlled loop, if you can explain that in your ePortfolio, that'll be really good. And what you're then looking to do is draw 5 faces in a line, and then following that you're going to see if you can create it where you can draw your 5 faces in a column, so going down in a straight row. So you could then, if you have completed that, as an extra little challenge, you can have a variable where you ask how many faces you would like to draw with a keyboard input. So that would be an input. How many faces would you like to draw as a variable? And then you can include that variable in your condition. So it will then draw however many you put into the keyboard, it will then repeat that. So that's the challenge that you're looking to do. Moving on to the next challenge, what you could look to do is using conditional controlled loops to create the following shape. So looking to draw these balloons. There's a little clue here how you can start with that. So the first balloon is going to be red, and you can add in different colours and build up that to be able to produce 5 separate balloons being drawn. So you're going to need to change the code a little bit to be able to create that. And then you can look to try and develop that bit of code if you do complete that. There is a lot of work to complete in today's lesson, and it could take you some time just getting the drawing of the face right, but we're going to see how far you can progress in today's lesson. So there are a few quite challenging challenges in here for you to do. So to finish off, we're looking at what does this output do. You can have a look at this and read through it. We've got import turtle, sides equals 0. While sides are less than 2, turtle.forward 150, turtle.right 90, turtle.forward 80, turtle.right 90, sides equals sides plus 1. So what shape, if I ran this bit of code, do you think this will draw? I'll just give you a few seconds to have a look through that, see if you can work it out. It's another 5 seconds. So it should have drawn a rectangle. So we drew this bit, and it was repeated twice. We go back into the code, while size is less than 2. So it does the forward 150, turns round right, forward 80. So that's the top bit of the rectangle and the right hand side, and then turns round, and then sides equals sides plus 1. So our sides is now 1, which is still less than 2, so therefore it repeats it, and that will then draw forward, turn right and forward. So now sides equals sides plus 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2, and therefore it will not repeat again. So that's why we're able to draw the rectangle with less instructions. So we're being more efficient in our coding using iteration. You should be able to, in your ePortfolio, answer what do we mean by variable. So you need to explain what a variable is. And my explanation here is a value that can change during the running of a program. You should be able to say what do we mean by condition controlled loop. So you can put your answer in. We'll just pause the video a short second while we write an answer in there. And you should have something along the lines of repeat code until a condition is met using while. And then what do we mean by count controlled loop? So again, you can write your answer in your portfolio. Pause the video while you quickly write that. And a count controlled loop is repeating a number of instructions the set number of times you are told to repeat it for. So you do need to make sure all your work is in your ePortfolio. Screen print your Python code into your ePortfolio. Show the result of what you've drawn. So screen print that into your ePortfolio and save your work as you progress.